What kind of gamer were you when you were growing up? Were you one of the OGs hunched over an Atari, mastering the pixelated dance of Pitfall and Pong? Or did the theme from Legend of Zelda on the NES become the soundtrack to your childhood adventures? Did you feel the need for speed, the wind in your virtual hair with Sonic and the Genesis? For me, while the Genesis was my first love, it was the four-player chaos of GoldenEye that really opened up my eyes to what gaming could be. The late-night death matches, the argument over Oddjob, the thrill of the perfect proximity mine placement. That's where my gaming obsession was forged. And then came Halo. Suddenly, a new world of what was possible with a first-person shooter exploded onto the scene. A 16-player deathmatch with the hub system. It was revolutionary. The scale, the story, the sheer epicness of it all redefined what a console shooter could be. My childhood gaming journey, like so many of ours, was a direct line from the corridors of GoldenEye to the sprawling battlefields of Halo. Fast forward to today, and that evolution continues in ways that we may not have imagined. For those curated developer-driven experiences, we've arrived at a place where players are not just consumers, but creators. Maybe your gaming story started with Minecraft, where you built your own worlds, or perhaps with Fortnite, where you connected with millions in a constantly evolving universe. My journey from GoldenEye to Halo has now led me and the industry itself to the dynamic, user-driven landscapes of Fortnite. This journey from the golden age of console gaming to the current era of user-generated content shows the incredible and enduring strength of the gaming community. For over 2 decades, the people playing the games have been shaping and building the industry. And now, with platforms like UEFN, that influence is more direct than ever. And that brings us to today's guest. Today I'm joined by Alex Saropian, the legendary co-founder of Bungie. Yeah, the team behind Marathon and Halo. Since 1991, he's been shaping the future of games, from launching industrial toys to now building immersive worlds at Look North World on platforms like UEFN. We jump into a whole bunch of topics ranging from the publisher model to how the creator networks are changing how games are being developed today to even how communities started a long time ago. But today I'm experimenting with more long-form content, which you're watching today. So we're taking bits and pieces that I think are the most exciting from the podcast and breaking it down so it's much easier to digest. If you're into this type of thing, check out the full episode at playerdriven.io. And don't forget to like and subscribe. That really helps. And we're going to jump into this conversation with Alex by talking about how the publisher model is changing and why it is evolving. So hope you enjoy it.
There were a lot of gates you had to go through to get a product into market. You had to be able to make a game, which was difficult. You had to manufacture it, which was expensive. You had to put it in a store. So that's not digital shelf space. That's actual physical real estate. So there's only a certain number of slots, that you had to compete for. Once you were there was traffic, and you're going to sell some product, and if it was good, you're going to sell more. And that was a predictable and could be really good business model, commercial business model. Today, it's different. It's like it's way less expensive and easier to get to a point of sale, but you're competing, like you say, discoverability is the big thing. Manage these big investments with low risk, which is what the big companies do. The big companies invest hundreds of millions of dollars to make games. If you're Microsoft or if you're EA or Take Two, they're going to get Grand Theft Auto 6 right, and they're putting a lot of money into it. But what that means is the new stuff, which is not doesn't fit an existing model. The innovation, it tends to come from places where it's okay to take risk.
So I promised really not to talk about Bungie, but I wanted to bring it up for two little-ish ones. The first one is community and how Bungie is community and how it was specifically for me, right? I was alive in the world of Xbox One and Halo 1 came out. It was just mind-boggling. We'd sit in our house. We'd have the hub set up in the central part of the house. We'd have things go everywhere. What was so cool is that, this was local multiplayer. You could play with anyone. Then GameSpy came out and created this whole tunneling feature where people go hook their Xbox up to their computer, launch GameSpy, and connect with people across the world to play Halo. And I know Dreamcast was online, but Halo was that first online experience for a console that I think everyone started to play. And the truth was, this was the start of multiplayer and community to me. And it was so cool to be able to play people on with my big bulky Duke controller across the world, talking to people with baby voices on their filter. And it was just magic that someone was able to figure out how you can do this without the existence of Xbox Live. And did you have any concept of the community or any of this stuff that was going to be when this was all happening, or was this like a holy shit type of moment?
You know, a little of each. Like we had been doing multiplayer games for a long time. It definitely was DNA the studio back to we had this game Minotaur, which is like the second game we ever made, which you had to have a modem to play. But that kind of co-op competitive multiplayer part of our games was always part of the culture of even a development process. Like that's how we would really test the games, is by standing up multiplayer first, um a- and frustrating each other. You'd have those pain points where something wasn't working right, and you'd have to get out of your chair and go have a really serious conversation with a programmer because something just was not working right. And So multiplayer is super important. For the first Halo, there was we wanted to do more than we were able to do. We made a bunch of compromises, and the fact that the community and the internet in general sort of like kind of patched over the limitations of what we were able to achieve. That was surprising. You're not sort of accountable to some big huge corporate machine. And these platforms, UEFN is one. I would say Roblox is another. These platforms where you can move really quickly. You can try a lot of things. We made 20 games last year. That's insane. Um, we're going to definitely see a lot of innovation coming out of those platforms. You mentioned Bondi. It's a great example. We made a game with a Gundam game with them that released around the same time as they did a Netflix movie. And we built what we thought players would like, and it did pretty good for a short amount of time. And we kind of listened to that audience and refactored it as in a native Fortnite genre, like a red versus blue game. And when we re-released it based on that feedback, it did even better.
I think the definition of a good game is also changed, right? You used to look at kind of a nice polished game. It was released, right? And it was done. And now when you go into Roblox, you see, for lack of better words, some crap games that are just spiking to the top. And we're in this world of content creators and influencers and people trying to push their own whatever, right? And it's like, this isn't even a good game, yet it's on the top. Like, why is this staying here? And it's just this frustration. And maybe I'm wrong, but am I making this up where you're like, good doesn't necessarily mean good. Sometimes there's lucky, sometimes there's timing, sometimes there's just the right people are seeing it at the right time.
Yeah, all of that stuff is a factor, but um, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. If people are attracted to something, they're playing it, they're enjoying it, they're liking it, they're sharing it, then does that not make the definition of good?
That's a fair and valid point, right? I guess there's different strokes for different folks.
Well, I mean, it's generational as well. These Roblox in particular is a younger uh, audience, and every generation, what's cool to that generation is confusing to the older generation, and what's good to the older generation is crap to the new generation, right? That's a societal thing. That's a truth of human evolution. I mean, I'll talk about Fortnite because we're in that ecosystem a lot. If you look at what's happening there with Disney coming in with Star Wars and all the other IP and content that's all entirely interoperable, could you even have imagined as a kid that, oh, there'll be this place online that we can hang out, and Spider-Man's gonna be there. It's alongside Batman, yeah, and Luke, and you can fly an X-wing. You can do all this stuff, right? And that would be like the plot of Lawnmower Man or Ready Player One, and you would laugh just like you're laughing. It's like, yeah, 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 that'd be cool. It's never gonna happen. And it's now the metaverse. We don't call it the metaverse because I don't know why that word's got so much stink on it, but that's kind of what's happening. We don't own the platform. you know uh we own the IP of the games that we make, and if we're smart, we have a relationship with our players, where we can grow that audience over time, and really do something special for a group of people. So that community is as important to us as the IP.
If you've made it this far and you're still watching, first off, thank you. I'm not sure how to end these videos yet, but let me know, was there a game for you that was community to you? For me, it was that Halo, and we all connected. What was that first online experience that was killer and opened your eyes to what gaming could be? Let us know in your comments, and again, thanks for watching.